it says it's still loading. There it goes. Wait. It says I'm live now. All right, I think we're live on all platforms. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, getting this second cardio session done. Second list cardio, low intensity. I already did sled work, which is my high intensity cardio. We always get a laugh here. People are like, this doesn't count as cardio. But I'm burning calories, my heart rate's up, my breathing is up. And I've already lifted weights and I pushed a sled today. I think the sled counts as higher intensity, absolutely does. So we did strength training and hypertrophy work. We did high intensity cardio, then we do lists. Right? We're hitting all those training modalities. And the beauty of it, we're doing it all fasted. Of course, we're having black coffee, which is no real calories, so it's still fasted. But I'm hoping we get a nice lively stream. We had a pretty good stream last time. I think between the two platforms, because I'm streaming in YouTube and Facebook. We're doing both concurrently, So there is that, right? All right, let me hop over and give myself a little shout out. Helps get it in the flow. Go for my profile. I like to comment in the Facebook, but also, guys, I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. Let's get a good little stream going. We had a couple regulars in the last one, obviously. Got good engagements here. And then Mustafa really blew up over 100 comments on the Facebook one. So I'll see what that does for it over time. That might boost it up. Right? But yeah, the Facebook is definitely picking up. Why? Okay. Non-fitness question. Bye. Next. I'm just going to start banning clowns. We have no tolerance for nonsense. We just get rid of it. Next. But hit that like button as soon as you guys get into either one of these. And let's get some real questions, actual fitness questions going. Like I said, we had a really good stream for the first one. Right? We had a good stream for the first one. But remember the rules, guys. This is fitness only. Anytime we're streaming on YouTube and not on just Facebook, I'll entertain other stuff. But if I'm doing YouTube, what's up, Mustafa? How you doing, bro? Appreciate you coming in and hammering that last stream. Getting me lots of engagements. Remember, guys, on the YouTube, it's fitness only. I'm not going to entertain. You guys know the rules. At this point, you guys know the rules. I've made it extremely clear. If you're a regular and you keep insisting on non-fitness stuff, I'm just going to ban you from the streams. Fitness only content, guys. Keep doing them. I love them. Appreciate it. I'm glad you love the streams, Mustafa. Right now, I'm going to keep doing them. They're good for my engagements, my outreach. I've been picking up clients, consultations. I picked up 2 clients in the last month in the live streams. So yeah, absolutely. They get donations, they get me subscribers, ad revenue, and they're picking me up clients. So absolutely, dude. So yeah, keep it flowing, man. It's an all-around win. And then the followers, it's a free Q&A. It's basically people get their questions answered while I'm just kind of chilling. They have me here. They get all their fitness training and all their questions answered. So it's kind of a win for everybody. But I've noticed that's where a lot of the donations come from. Like some of the guys, I've answered their questions, and they'll give me $5, $10. I had a guy give me $20 the other day just for answering like his 3 or 4 training questions. It's just bam. Like, hey, that's cool, man. Appreciate it. The deficit's definitely impacting. It's getting the strength on the cut's been doing good. The deadlift, if you notice, my deadlift feels really weak. Bench and the squat are doing good, but man, that 545 deadlift the other day was an all-out grinder. That's where I think I'm really feeling it in the cut with all the fasted cardio and the deficit, man. Surprisingly, the bench has done really well, but that deadlift, a 550 deadlift shouldn't be a grinder for me. You guys have seen me do like 4 reps with it before. Full reset reps too. So, but the bench is doing really well. Squat and bench tend to go down the most on those. But for me, the benching, because I've been doing dips again, and I used to live on dips when I was younger. I haven't been doing them. I feel like the dips have re-sparked some old muscle memory. It's probably helping a lot with my benching, right? Dips made, historically, like I said, dips made my triceps really big. There was a time in my life where I thought I had small arms. I thought I had big arms, but I was living on dips. So I've returned to living on those dips, and those in my benching is coming back up in spite of being in a deficit. Plus, I don't even feel my triceps on the bench. It's like the dips are working my triceps so hard that when I go to bench, even that 350 bench, I didn't really feel my triceps. Joe Smoes Jason, can chest flies help your bench just from a hypertrophy benefits, or are you doing incline bench and dips? Good question. Right? Good question. Joe, hypothetically, yes. So let's come over to, there's a hypothetical. Are you recovering from the extra volume of adding the flies? Because if you're already doing bench, you're doing incline, you're doing dips, do you have the recovery to handle the extra isolation? Okay, there's your caveat. Now, over to, will chest flies build your chest? Yes. Will that chest size that you gain from the flies carry over to the bench eventually? I think the answer there is also yes. Because if we're benching, and again, we're not doing, sorry, my nose is itchy. I need to trim my nose hairs. You're looking like Cthulhu over here. So back over to your question, though. Yes. Flies work a chest in a very similar manner to the bench. The fibers are all lined the same. Everything is kind of lined up the same. So if you're really weak right off the chest on the bench press, like from that lengthened position, your chest really struggles to get that weight moving, and you get stronger at flies, and the flies build your pectorals in that range of motion, I think you will see bench carryover, right? Because at the end of the day, strength is strength. And size raises strength potential. Your chest gets bigger and stronger from the flies. Sure, it can carry over. However, keep in mind, you are also then taking a toll in terms of adding an isolation that's going to affect recovery, tendon, everything else. So you have to also factor in, are you recovering from all of it? Makes sense? Now, the point I will make, though, could you do it for a phase and still not fully recover, but grow from it? And then when you back them off, could you see your bench increase? Yes, also. Mustafa, I'm going to flat disagree. Okay, you said flies are easy to recover from. How so? I'm going to disagree completely. You're telling me that pectorals recover? We're not talking about your whole body. I'm talking specifically because he's doing all this other chest work, right? No, we can bench because my form broke down right at the lockout. Your triceps may be the weak link in your bench, but we need to look at it. Chest can still be used on the lockout. You have to remember that too. People forget when they start thinking of the bench. As far as the lockout, as far as triceps are not weak, your chest can still be the weak link in a lockout. Your triceps are used at the bottom of the bench, just very heavily, and your chest is used at the lockout also. The only way we can determine if the triceps were the weak link would be the bar path. I would need to see the bar path. So just because the lockout felt a little weak doesn't automatically mean it was the triceps. Okay, so we always need that context. Mustafa says, for me, flies are kind of awkward, don't feel comfortable. Fair, then don't do them. Not if you don't like the exercise, don't do them. I used to do a lot of flies though, way back. I used to like incline flies a lot. But as far as the recovery goes, no, flies hit your pecs and their pec tendons just as hard as a bench press. So your pecs are not necessarily going to recover easier. So Joe says, yeah, I'm only doing 2 sets of flies and 3 sets of incline and dips 2 times a week with 3 days of recovery. Joe, if everything's feeling recovered, then sure. Especially if you really feel, because I'll always say I'm not real big on always just throwing in automatically chest isolation, unless your triceps are just so massive, But Do you legitimately feel like your pecs are a weak link for you in terms of your benching? Do you feel like they're a weak link in terms of your physique? Do you feel like they're a weak enough link that you need to isolate them? And if you do, then, yeah, work some plies in. I don't think it's a problem. Even if we're doing almost entirely compound movements, the weakest link, it's never a bad thing to isolate it. Like even for me, you guys look, everything I'm doing is a big compound movement, like my whole workout right now, except for my curls. Because why? My biceps are really my weakest link. They really are. So it makes sense to come in and continue to isolate them. Joe says my chest is an aesthetic weak point for sure. I'm very, very long armed. Lifter for context, if that matters. Okay, yeah, fair enough. So it seems like you're hitting it from every possible angle, though. So if your chest is a weak link, especially doing dips, you're doing dips for a full range of motion, you're doing incline, you're doing flies, like you're hitting everything you possibly could. At least I can get some more tricep. Yeah, so for you, Mustafa, since you need more tricep, you want more tricep, yeah, for you, flies don't make a lot of sense. For someone like Joe over here who's saying his chest is aesthetically a weak link, it makes sense. I think we can make a case for flies being a good choice in his case. Again, always, generally speaking, somewhere in your body, we all have a weakest link overall. And I'm going to always lean in the direction of no matter what's going on with our goals. If you're going to isolate one thing in your body, it should generally be your weakest link. Like I said, just like me, dude, I'm doing curls, even though all my workout is compound. I'm even doing sludge for legs, squat, bench, deadlift, dips, chin-ups, sled work. So my workout's built around that, but I'm still doing the barbell curls, because I need the arm work. I really and truly need it. It is still aesthetically a weak link for me. Are we talking about proportions or just different exercises for more growth? No, we're talking about proportions, Mustafa. We're talking proportions, right? Because, and I will always point that out, compounds are always going to be the most efficient way to get bigger and stronger. But, and we're not, and I want to be clear, I'm not talking about for competitive bodybuilding. If you're competing in bodybuilding at a serious level, you probably need to be doing 5 or 6 different isolation movements. If you're going to go step on a stage, you probably need to be isolating at minimum half the muscles in your body. Okay, if you're trying to win bodybuilding shows. If you just want to look crazy, jacked, and amazing to the average person, you don't have to do that. Like if you want the average person to think you're Arnold Schwarzenegger walking down the street, you don't have to do that. But I'm going to generally say isolating your weakest muscle group does make sense, right? So Joe's over here pointing out, aesthetically his chest is his weak link. In that case, we can make a case for isolating it. This seems like a slightly better tricep builder chest. No, Joe. I feel it more in my chest. Like the chest stretch is insane, but my triceps have always grown best from it. So it's kind of hard to say. Like my triceps were always at their biggest when I did lots of dips in the past, looking back every single time. So they're a great, probably my best tricep exercise historically. But they're still a phenomenal chest builder because of the angle involved. So if you were to ask me where do I feel it most intensely, definitely my chest, especially when I'm going super deep. I feel the chest stretch. Like my pecs feel almost like they're going to rip off the bone all the way through. Like I feel it all through. When I go all the way down, when I come out of that bottom position like I'm doing on the V-bars, when I start at the bottom, I walk over, then I set it to where I have to climb up into it. Oh yeah. But I know that my chest or my triceps really grow from it. So I think it's hard to say, Joe, whether it's legitimately a better for one versus the other. Gustavo says, well, people have half hours of dips. That's why, yeah, it turns into a partial. Definitely when you go all the way down on a dip, I feel a ridiculous amount of chest. I feel it more tricep dominant when I do stop right at parallel. If I do a half rep, right, it definitely lights my triceps up more relative to the chest. But I don't think it's necessarily doing more. Does that make sense? Meaning, because I'm feeling less chest is why. But when I go all the way down, the chest stretch is so intense that it's borderline painful. But I think really, I don't know. I don't know that we could say it's a better tricep than chest builder. I think done correctly for a full range of motion, particularly if you get the forward lean at the bottom, the deep stretch, and you lock it at the top, it's probably pretty equal for both. But I think we can agree if you do it for the full range of motion, it is a great exercise for both. Like it will absolutely develop both. You know, they're scared of it for some reason. You talk about the modern bodybuilders, I don't get it either. Well, one, they don't want to learn how to bench. And they historically, we know the old school bodybuilders all lived on the bench press and they all had better pecs than these modern guys. I mean, go back and look at silver and golden era guys who have big benches. Look at their chest compared to a lot of your current pro bodybuilders who are on way more drugs. They still had better chests. So I don't get this fear of it either. I mean, I see tons of these guys who are like, no, dumbbells are way better for chest. But I'm like, you have 30 pounds more muscle than these bodybuilders from this era, this guy, that his pecs were still bigger than yours. Are you sure your dumbbells are working that well? Because why don't you have a bigger chest? You know, it'll be a guy who's super jacked. I mean, like a ripped 230 pounds, but his chest is still lagging behind his shoulders while he's talking about how amazing the dumbbell is. Hey Tips says, is bench strength related to pec size? Yes, but there's some caveats. Are you benching in a way that it's going to be pec dominant? Like, are you power benching with a big arch, with fully tucked elbows, and a more medium grip? Might not be as directly correlated. Yes, bigger pecs will still increase it, but that's going to be a slightly more tricep and belt dominant bench. If you're doing a wider grip bench with a decent range of motion, yes, pec side is going to carry over massively. It will probably be one of the biggest factors in your bench. So like the bench you saw me do on Wednesday, right? You watched me do a wide grip bench. Like by wide grip, I meant right about my ring finger was on the rings. I did it flat back and I did a 2-second pause on my chest with no real arch, right? I did that with 350. That type of bench is going to be very relative to your pec size. I feel if your squat is going up, everything else goes up because it probably means, yeah, if your squat's going up, you're probably definitely eating enough. But yeah, no, everything is going to be going up usually. I agree. Arnold was way bigger than so many of these guys. It's past his chest. Yep. Arnold had a massive chest, but watch Arnold's benching. Arnold also benched pretty wide grip. His incline and his barbell, they were real wide. He didn't have a real big arch. Yes, he did a lot of flies and stuff too, but he did a lot of barbell work for his chest. But go look at a lot of it. Thoughts on Venus Dry? I don't care. I don't get into the whole hair retention thing. I just don't care. Now, if you're paying me for a steroid consultation tips, and I do those at $100 an hour, we can go into a lot of detail as far as what you can do with that. But just generally speaking, I'm just not going to give advice on retaining your hair. Let me ask you a simple question, because you're talking about Venus Drive, so it's a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. I'm just going to go out on a limb. Do I look like the person you should be asking on how to keep your hair? I'm just gonna, it's just let's just be frank. Is Jason Blaha the person you think is the best person to go to advice for keeping your hair? Yeah, that's the guy who's going to give me the really good advice for keeping my hair right there. Well, deadlifts give me a big butt. It'll help. Squats will do even more, but deadlifts will definitely help. Glutes, deep squats. Do your squats below parallel. Be one of the best things you can do. But deadlifts will help too, yes. I will look into it. Should we go wider than ring fingers? Depends. It's going to depend on where it stacks your forearms. Okay, so if you're trying to make it less shoulder dominant and more pec, what you need to think about with the benching is it getting you a deeper range of motion? I'm still going to lean in the direction of a really wide grip bench. If your shoulders can handle it, it's still going to be great for pecs, even if you go pretty wide. Again, let's be realistic about it. Let's be realistic about it. Because it starts getting more front delt dominant if you get real close to relative to your pecs, doesn't it? So I'm going to say the main thing you're looking at is really with going really wide. I don't feel like it's going to diminish pec at all. You just have to be aware of, does it put stress on your shoulder joints that is uncomfortable for you or problematic? Right? But really, if you're set in a position like you were saying, ring finger on there, if your forearms are 90 degrees when you touch your chest with that grip width, it's always going to be really good for your pecs. I feel the deeper stretch of the index finger on the rings. If you feel the deeper stretch but no pain, you may want to consider that. Tip says, is low bar okay? Yeah. I'm not only one commenting, much love though. Not many people are in here today. We had a lot of people in the first one. Some of these we get hundreds and hundreds of comments, tips, but you're probably just the only one commenting at the moment. This is a slow stream compared to normal. It's all good though. What if I rotate my grip? I wouldn't rotate it on every set for volume work like that. The reason is it's going to mess up your flow in the workout. But if you want to rotate it in different sessions, probably fine. It's going to affect your performance set to set. That's going to be a little harder to track. But yeah, you're welcome, Mustafa. But yeah, it seems like you're the only one. There's only one like so far. The YouTube's really slow in this one. The last one was good. This one's slow. But it's all good. I already got some decent supers off here. I had a super. I woke up to a super in a regular comment. I forget people can give those outside of the lives also. I think a lot of people don't realize. Index finger on rings, one session. I can do 3 sessions. Yeah, you can split it up and change it. That can vary the overuse stress a little bit too, Right? Can vary the stress a little bit by doing it that way, Mustafa. So tips, I got you commenting in here, then I got Mustafa on the Facebook because I'm streaming multiple platforms. It's how we double dip. So it doesn't matter if one stream is slow. I got more than one stream going. Right? I'd love to give it a try. You're welcome, Mustafa. Right? Yeah. Yeah, all these comments. I wonder what it'll do with the algorithm on that. Because Mustafa's been blowing these up today, which I appreciate, brother. You've just been hammering my Facebook streams. Frederico, Coach, your opinions on the 50-50 protein and carb split aside from fats. I don't have opinions on splits at all. I don't have any opinion whatsoever on percentages or ratios of carbs to protein. I think it's a useless concept to think about. I think there's no benefit to actually knowing it. So how's that for an answer? I think it's completely arbitrary and not relevant to know your exact ratio of the two in any way. It has no benefit to you to actually know it. your total calories matter, how much protein you're eating matters. But so when people start going into, I'm going to do 50, or I'm going to do a 40, 40, 20. So you're going to do the same ratio no matter how many calories you eat. So you're going to bulk and cut on the same ratio. So if your calories maintenance goes from 3,000 to 4,000, you're going to do the exact same ratio. You're just going to increase protein when calories go up, and you're going to reduce protein. You see what I mean? You see what I mean, guys? Like, it's such a useless metric. And in fact, it's crippling. So like it's like why I used to, so a perfect example of a perfect balance would be the 40, 40, 20. And people would say that. And I'm like, dude, you'd be talking about, I do 40, 40, 20, like even bulking and cutting. So you're telling me you add a bunch more protein every time you try to bulk, or you add calories. You're telling me you're reducing protein when you cut. You don't think that sounds kind of stupid? Oh, tips, there you go. You just outed yourself. It's this guy again. All right. Hey guys, I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back. It'll let me keep the stream running longer. I'll be right back, guys. All right. The downside to this, all this coffee. All right, let's just get rid of him. We already know it's him. All right. Tips doesn't, no, dude, let's not address Tips at all. We already know he's that same guy. So we just got rid of him. All right, next. All right. Tips doesn't have a chest. Well, yeah, lots of guys, small, weak guys need to just get bigger and stronger, and they need to keep training. Yeah, dudes who are still novice and not training everything long enough, talking about having a weak links. It's like, it's not how it works. The only way you have a weak link in your first while base building is because you didn't train something, right? You didn't train something. Oh, yeah, he's a troll. So let's just move on from it. For those chiming in who don't know why I'm talking back and forth to different people, I have multiple streams running. I've got YouTube and Facebook all going. All right, we got it all going concurrently. Yeah, no, he's just saying, I've banned the guy like 200 times now. I already know how to pick him out. He stands out. He can't help himself. He has to drop the same messages. All right. Yeah. All right. But, like I said, it might be a slow stream. It may not hit people's speeds, and I'm not that worried on this second one. We'll get lots and lots of streams tomorrow. It's going to be the weekend. I tend to go hard on all these cardio streams. So we'll get lots of stuff happening. All right. Whew. And I'm getting really hungry. My food is ready too, but I got to cook some eggs to go with it still. All right. I saw my Instant Pot while I was out there. It was done. Coach over here getting hungry, and it's still not noon yet. Pedal faster. That's what we do. Pedal faster when we get hungry. Plan on doing 3 to 4 sets of different wrist grips on the bench in 3 different sessions. Just, Yeah, don't have to be true AMRAPs. AMRAP, I mean, yeah, it'll be kind of like 0 rep in reserve. It works. All right. I mean, you can do them at different grip lists. It can be helpful for avoiding overuse, but you don't necessarily have to do that. All right. I feel like my dips for me cover a lot of that because I use the V bars. It's going to end up being a hair different every time, no matter what. You know, just because I don't have the V bars marked specifically. You know, that just might be too much because that's 15. I think it is, especially in one session. Mustafa, unless you're going to up the dose. You know. So Mustafa, here's the thing. When you ask a lot of questions, keep in mind, you ask me a lot of training questions I do need to be careful of, because if we're going to claim natty, I need to give you natty advice. I need to tell you that's way too much. You're asking me, do I consume Diet Coke ever or historically, or are you asking me, do I consume it right now? Those are two very different questions. No, I don't have any Diet Coke around right now. I just do coffee in the mornings and I do water. I mean, I used to do a lot of it. Or if I'm in social settings, I drink it. Right? So I have something to sip on if it's available, especially if people are drinking alcohol. But because I don't drink, I'm a non-drinker. But, you know, so if I'm in a social setting and people are drinking alcohol, I will drink a Diet Coke or Coke Zero or a Diet Dr. Pepper or something. I'll drink a diet soda of some type while they're drinking. What advice? Well, non-natty's a sliding scale, Mustafa. So my advice for guys on gear is going to be dose dependent. Like I need to know how much drug. So you see the problem then if you're going to ask stuff under a real name. Well, I'm going to need to know your exact doses and what your stack is if I'm going to give you advice built around your drugs. Because a guy on 500 milligrams of test does not have the same recovery and muscle protein synthesis as someone on 2 grams of test plus growth hormone. So my advice to them is going to be very, very different. Relentless says, hey, Jason, how was lifting this morning? It was pretty good. I've already recorded the vlog. I just haven't uploaded it. I wanted to get all the cardio done first. All right. I wanted to get this cardio done and get all these streams out of the way. Then I'll get the vlog up. It was pretty good overall. Decent squatting. All the lifting was good. I got some curl PRs, actually. My curls are up a rep on my work sets with the new weight. He was obsessed. I mean, to be fair, guys who don't have a massive rib cage should be obsessed with building a chest. Right? And Jeff's side is very thin front to back. Like I've seen him. He's like an ironing board. When I met him, he was like half my size. So guys like that, the chest obsession makes sense because they struggle with it. And if the guys who have they're really thin front to back because of their rib cage, like a really shallow rib cage, if they obsessively build the hell out of their chest, it's going to tremendously help their aesthetics and physique. So it's not a bad obsession, right? I mean, it's a fairly good obsession, you know. Whereas in someone like me, if we got to be realistic with my structure, I have to be arm obsessed. And it's just because my rib cage is so massive, I'm going to be thick from the muscle I gain off of just the big movements. Frederico says, Coach, losing fat is kind of frustrating. A bunch of people in my country are jumping on medication called GLP-1. Yeah, everyone knows. I've done videos on GLP-1s. Would never take that you have an opinion. I've done numerous videos and posts and discussions. Frederico, follow me on Facebook. I discuss this stuff all the time. If you're not following me on Facebook yet, right? But you need to be. If you're not, I don't know why you aren't. So I do a lot of discussions there with this stuff and topics on it. And I get other people in to discuss it. Like I have people who are experts and dietitians and other people who jump into those conversations. All right. I don't feel like this stream right now. I don't want to jump into an in-depth discussion of GLPs, but I hold a very positive view of them for the general population because of the need. But I think for people like us who are already disciplined, I'm not going to be a fan. But in terms of the general population that has clearly struggled with losing weight, I think they're probably life-saving if people use them in the correct context, meaning what's the medical advice you have to follow? You have to work out and you have to increase your protein on them. The doctors and the dietitians prescribing them are saying this over and over and over and over. And if people ignore that advice, it's not going to work out. But if they take that advice, it will help them implement those lifestyle changes and their metabolic rate will stay way higher. They'll be able to eventually come off of them. But if they don't take that advice, they're just going to get fat again when they come off. But we have an obesity epidemic. It's at a point now, so my opinion of it is our obesity epidemic is so deadly in the US. It is so absolutely deadly that in spite of the risk of GLPs, they're technically life-saving drugs because our obesity is more deadly, right? Old Pasm said, hit that like button, guys. Tell them, man, this was really slow for the first 30 minutes. Now people are seeing it come in their feed. Some of the regulars are coming in. Yes, 100% hit the like. Thank you, Cart. Would you see, hey, coach, I have decent abs. We're looking to tone up the lower abs. What would you go to exercise? Put plate push-aways. What do you mean tone up the lower abs? You have to lose more body fat. That's it. No exercise is going to do that other than a plate push-away, the fork put downs. I mean, or you're going to have to do more cardio. You're going to have to lose body fat. Like, you're not going to tone the muscle up more if you're already training the abs. Like, you're already trained them, dude. You're not going to get a lot out of that. You just have to lose the body fat. So it's not going to be about an ab exercise at that point. We were kind of similar. He used to be way more impressive years ago, but not anymore. I haven't seen what Jeff's doing these days. Well, also Jeff had a lot of Photoshop and lighting. Hey, coach, what's the consensus on the heart rate, fat burning zone during cardio? Is the truth of this? What do you mean? I mean, technically, yes, lower intensity cardio burns more fat calories. That is very clear. So what are you asking me? I'm not aware of any meme. Hey, Michael, because this is a topic we were discussing before memes existed, so I don't understand the meme reference. The argument would be that, sure, higher output will burn more total calories, and throughout the day, then it will potentially create a larger deficit, but you can do more low intensity. Low intensity will tend to burn more fat calories and less glycogen. So generally speaking, if you're trying to do large amounts of cardio to create a large calorie deficit, lower intensity does make more sense, but you're not getting some of the other benefits you might want from conditioning. So really strength training combined, like if you really want the best of it, trying to just get leaner, less cardio combined with your weightlifting is a good approach. But I'm not aware of any meme built around this idea. I wasn't aware it was a meme topic. Hey, Mustafa, I don't really need to Google all these dudes over and over, like, honestly. You know, yeah. Like, there's so many people who are jacked. Greg, you're saying makes a lot of you. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but I don't follow YouTube Fitness anymore. I haven't in a long time, so I don't know what Greg really makes. You know. So why specifically do I need to Google him? Is there a reason you feel that I need to Google him besides the fact that he has a big chest? Would be kind of my point. Is there a reason specifically I'm Googling this guy? Well, lots of dudes have had him. So are we supposed to look at his training methods? What are we trying to do with it? So it's just like, where are we going with it? But I would really rather, for a lot of stuff, you know, stick with guys who are using less gear back in the day. It's better advice for people. His training is very simple. Gotcha. So what's he do for the chest? So he's got this massive chest for a guy his size. What's he do for it? Have you heard about yerba mate? It's a tea. Yeah, never heard of it. I hate tea. Teas, I don't like tea personally. It's gross. I don't drink tea. I drink coffee. Jason, can you ban me for sure? All right. Flies as flies and presses. So, well, so does everybody. Something specific about his press. Yeah. I mean, people love to argue about the chest machines, but it's like they're still not building better chest than the guys who used the other stuff back in the day. Relentless says my decline benches are roughly the same as my flat. Both are paused. This is a common phenomenon, I guess, is that the shallow range of motion almost cancels out the loss of leg drive. So the leg drive might be the thing. Most guys can decline a little bit more, but if you're good at using a lot of leg drive, that would explain it. So since you mentioned that, I think that's a viable explanation for your situation. Or, well, you could be genetically gifted. Lots of drugs and lots of wider grip chest pressing will do it. You know? I mean, that would explain it. So let me go investigate. So you're saying you've never seen a chest that big on a guy that small. So let me Google it then. It's hard to tell what's photoshopped or what isn't though. That's the problem. I'm seeing just still pictures. That's clearly photoshopped though. So I need to see some non-photoshop. I'm not going to assess people's proportions when it's all Photoshop. Like these are not actual real pictures. Photoshop photo. He's a Photoshop king. Like I just went to Google Images. There's like 50 pictures. Everything is heavily Photoshopped. All of it. Every single last one of them that you just see through there. So this isn't what he actually looks like. That's why I was like, when I met people in person, I was shocked at how ridiculously small they were. I'm just like, dude, you would fit in my thigh. And they look massive online. Do you think medieval peasants would be decently strong on the big three today? No. Shimar, he wanted me to Google Alex Eubank. He's saying he's never seen a chest that big on a guy that small. But I'm like, he has so much Photoshop in all the pictures I just see that it's like hard to tell, you know. He's definitely a Photoshop king. Body by Adobe. So I'd have to see some video later then to where it's actually him moving without AI enhancing it. But he's definitely body by Adobe. Alex Eubank is like 170 pounds. I mean, 170 ripped is pretty decent size. How do you know he recently hopped on the juice? People always say when it becomes obvious someone hopped on the gear, that's not the sign that they just started. That's the sign that they went way up. That's not evidence of starting. That's evidence of upping what they were on to a high amount, which could have been zero or could have been a low amount. Yeah. It would be smaller and naturally weaker. Asm says. Yeah. Like, you really think medieval peasants were going to be elite lifters? But they worked in the fields and were starved to death. Yeah, that's not how you get strong. Being starved to death and doing very, very low intensity work is not how you get a 700-pound deadlift. Just an FYI. So does the average, so using that logic, does the average guy who works construction who doesn't work out have elite lifts? They have plenty of food, especially the fatter ones. So do they have elite lifts? The average guy who hangs sheetrock for a living, whether he has a bit of a belly, so you know he's getting enough food to gain fat. He does manual labor all day. Does the average one of them deadlift 600 pounds? The answer is objectively no. Most of them can't even do 400. There was some archaeological site near a monastery where the monks were riddled with worms, parasites, and they have been better than the average. Right? Frederico says, do you think it's better waiting 4 to 3 hours between meals? No. Keep in mind, that's almost my whole feed window. Like usually most of the time, I only have a 6-hour feed window at all. I fast, Frederick. I've been fasting for years. For a couple of years, I've been doing all my training fasted. I used to do a lot of it when losing weight before. So, I mean, in my case, all my food is usually eaten within a 6-hour window every day, personally. But I think meal timing is very dependent on a lot of things you're doing with energy, which you're used to, appetite. So there's no direct answer to this question. Do I think it's better? I don't think it's an objectively better at all. But he's like 200. What? You're telling me that Alex guy, even with all that Photoshop, he doesn't even look 200 pounds. There's no way that guy's 200 pounds. I would bet my left testicle that the guy in those pictures is not anywhere near 200 pounds. Would you go back on a body part split? No, there's not actual benefits. So I hate it. So let me stop it. One of my big pet peeves. Would you go back to this style of training? Whatever that style happens to be. My answer is always going to be no, even if it's a style I go to later. The answer is always no. Because if I felt like doing it and it was on my mind to do it, I would do it today. Right. I didn't mean like elite. I just mean compared to the skinny beginner today. I'm old Basm. I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I hope you're not implying that medieval peasants were strong. They would be really weak. The average skinny beginner is really weak. So how are we comparing really weak to really weak? I don't know how to compare one type of really weak person to another type of really weak person and give you an objective answer. No, they're going to be weak as shit. They were starved to death and underweight. Jason, how do you explain high jumpers and basketball players? Jumping height, vertical leap is largely genetic. All right. All they ate was bread. They probably. What are we even talking about? Medieval peasants. There's no way that guy's 200 pounds. I'm talking about this Alex. He's a $170, $175. In those photoshopped pictures I'm seeing, there's no way that guy's 200 pounds. After being a YouTube fitness here for over 12 years, you ever take a moment to give yourself a pat on the back for the effort? Sometimes. No, I'm always looking forward, honestly, though. I'm not a past rolling person. That's a good way to get. Focusing on your past is a good way to do completely fuck all with everything with your life. It's a good way to become a total loser. I don't ever do that. No, we're always looking forward. We're always looking next. I don't even worry about that. So no, I don't do that. It's always next. Yeah. I gained 5 pounds. Yeah, fair enough. All right, it's noon. It is noon, guys. It's just about time for Coach to eat some breakfast. In fact, it's still going to be a bit because I got to cook my eggs and other stuff. Anyway, I break it down. All right. Triple dip, and not just double on this one. I only did one triple dip today, Brian. I did a quick Facebook profile. But, yep. Oh, man. Yeah, Jay, even in World War II, they said they had to bring them up to so. That's just like a really, yeah. No, they wouldn't have been probably strong. I guess it depends on what they were eating and what they had access to. Hamza says, I suffer from irritable bowel syndrome. And whenever I try to include fiber in my diet, I worsen my symptoms really quick. What are your opinions? You need to probably take some amino acids that will help with your gut lining. That's a good case for it, actually situationally useful, something like glutamine to help with improving your tight junctions, and you need to go on a low FODMAP diet and introduce those type of fibers until you can tolerate more and more fiber. You need to build it up slowly. I'd go on a low FODMAP diet, throw some glutamine in for your gut health, and slowly build the fiber up on very low FODMAP foods only. Right? Be my advice. Do you eat oats at least? Sometimes I may cut them back out. I'll say I like oats, but speaking to the other guy with IBS, he can't eat oats. That's going to be a problem. Right. Yeah. So if you talk to your dietitian about your colitis also, they're probably going to give you some advice on that. All right, guys, I think it's about time to wind this down. It's a Friday, last training day. Time to get some food in. Shut down Facebook first. So I love you guys. I'll talk to all of you next time. And the same thing, guys. We're going to wind down the YouTube. I will catch you guys tomorrow morning for stream. So love you. I'll get the training blog up here soon. And I'm out.